Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to the Relationship Masterclass today. My name is Sam Oye, and it absolutely gladdens my heart to connect with you and your loved ones as we talk about one of the most remarkable subjects that anybody must give attention to on this planet called Earth. It's not just salvation, which is very important. You need to give your life to Christ if you've not. And it's not just about money. It's wonderful to have money, but ultimately you will have to coexist. You don't live with money. You use money to build other things. So we're going to be talking about relationships. We're going to be talking about marriage. We're going to be talking to singles. We're going to be talking to divorced individuals. We're going to be talking to married singles, single parents. Even if your relationship status is complicated, we're going to be talking today. All right. And I want to wrap up the subject matter that I began talking about last week, which is your family background and how it affects your relationship. And truly, it's important to know that we all don't exist in isolation. We all don't exist in isolation. I came from somewhere. My wife came from somewhere. And we all drag baggage from wherever we're coming from into our relationship. I always say this: your relationship is usually the battlefield for your life's experiences before. Your relationship, your marriage will be the battlefield, it will be the conflict ground for your ideologies, your experiences, memories, pain, whatever it is you've gone through in the past. When we come together, our relationship becomes the victim of our past. Today, let's get straight to our conversation. Family background. How does your family background, this thing called family, how does your family background impact on your relationship? Does your family background have anything to do positively or negatively with your relationship? Certainly so. It is just the truth. For those of you that like to read the Bible, you must have heard a story of a man by the name Timothy. That is his name, Timothy. Paul the apostle said to Timothy, he said, Timothy, wait a minute. He said, there's a faith I see in you. But listen, he said, I noticed that faith is not standing in isolation. Listen to what Paul said. Paul said, I trace this to your grandmother. Paul said, the faith I'm seeing in you, Timothy, actually began from your grandmother. And I noted it was transferred to your mom. And it's now operational in you. 3 generations expressing the same thing. Write this down. If it's in the root, it will be in the fruit. If it's in the root, it will be in the fruit. Abraham lied. Isaac lied. Jacob became a liar. The 10 sons lied back to Jacob. If it's in the root, it will be in the fruit. Never forget that your family background will be one of the major reasons for your relationship and family crisis. Your family background, where you come from, what happened there, will be greatly responsible for some of the things that you're going to be having as challenges in your relationship and marriage. Why? Before you left home, you picked up some philosophies, ideologies, concepts, way of life, worldview, family view, cultural view. You picked up some of these things. Somebody else will be the victim of all that you picked if they are negative. That is why it's good for us to stop now. You know, I love something. Every time you want to travel, at the immigration post, they will ask you to put your bag down and search the bag, because there are some things that should not travel with you. Those things may be good for your house, but they are not good for the flight. All right? They may be very nice stuff. They are very good in your family. They are okay. But you can't travel with them, because traveling with them will endanger the lives of so many other people. So there's this place where checks are done to be sure that your bag is not carrying anything that will be injurious to somebody else. In the same vein, I want to say to you, we've come to a critical moment in our lives as singles, married persons, divorced, separated, whatever the situation may be, when we need to say, listen, I don't need to check somebody else's baggage. Can I check mine? And be sure that I am not traveling and journeying into a relationship with things that can be injurious to others. It may be okay in my family. Nobody talks about it in my family. We are all okay with it. We have all become conformed. There's what we call sociological conformity, whereby everybody in the family has become conformed to the situation. What we are saying is, you can travel with it. You're going to damage somebody else's life if you go on with this. I like to put it this way: family background is the root. Family background is the root. Remember that the root of all of humanity's problem began in a family with the man and his wife. The root of all problems on earth began with a man and his wife. That's a crucible of it all. That's where it all began. Adam, Eve, one family, and the entire world today is in a big mess. Jesus has come. Jesus has shed his blood, but humanity is yet to recover from the effect, the bad effect of what happened in a family. Terrorists have come as a result of Adam and his wife's decision. Terrorists, thieves, racist attitudes, everything evil on earth was birthed through the wrong decision that a husband and a wife took. Never think that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Never think that what you and your wife does, never think it ends with you. David took Bathsheba and slept with her. And from that moment, the sword never departed from the house of David. Battles, internal fighting. By the time we got to Solomon, everything that David labored for to build a kingdom, to get Judah, to get the other tribes, bring them together. By the time we got to Solomon, down to the next son, everything was scattered. So if you want to break the pattern, all right? If you want to break the pattern, what goes on in your family? You don't want your marriage to look like the marriages you've seen and you hated, all right? All of us have seen relationships and marriages with our parents, with our peers' parents, with in the community. We've seen marriages, we've read about them, we've watched them, that we don't want ours to look like. The desire not to have a bad marriage will not keep you from having a bad marriage. Write that down. The desire not to have a bad marriage does not exclude you from having a bad marriage. On the contrary, if the desire can be followed with a change in orientation, what you know, change what you've read, what you've heard about marriage. Your mother told you, never trust a man. Your father told you, women are supposed to serve you. Get rid of all those kind of beliefs, those concepts. All right? So it's important that there's a change in orientation. Number two, There is a change in disposition, how you feel, how you think, how you perceive, how you view things. It has to change. Don't just know without letting it change your views, your feelings, your perspective. Knowledge means nothing if it does not change your disposition. Attending an orientation means nothing if it doesn't change your disposition. All I'm sharing with you right now means nothing if what I'm sharing with you doesn't have any direct influence on your disposition. 3, change the decisions you'll be making. You cannot continue with the decisions you'll be making when you were single, when you were a teenager, when you were in your father's house. You can't live by those decisions and build a qualitative family. Carry values, but change decisions. All right. The next thing you must need to do is to change association. Sometimes, in order to build the kind of relationship you want, you need to change your association. All right? Yes. You may need to break off from some people who fuel the weakness in you. Can I say that again? Change your relationship. Disconnect from people who fuel the weakness in you. You cannot say you want to depart from the past, and the people you hang around with are those from your past. What they will do is to make sure they make you comfortable in your past. So in order to move to a new trajectory, to move to a new dimension, a new level, you need the incursion of new association in order to move outside your previous zone of comfort. So in order to be who you've never been, you have to be with those you've never been with. Wow. Write that down. In order to be who you've never been, then you need to hang out with those you've never been with. In order to become a son of God, you need to hang out with the Son of God. For as many as believe and receive him, he gave them the power to become the sons of God. To become what you've never been, you need to hang out with someone you've never been with. Be with a mentor who has succeeded in marriage and relationship. Let them share with you. If you can be with such a mentor, you can become the kind of man that your father was never. Let's get straight now. Family backgrounds that affect relationships and marriage. Number 1, divorce family background. This is where your parents were emotionally and physically divorced. Your parents lived in the same house, but emotionally were not connected. Or your parents had to go apart. Children from such kind of family backgrounds, if they don't do these 5 things that I mentioned, they are likely going to reproduce the kind of marriages that their parents had. Either a physically divorced marriage or an emotionally divorced marriage, whereby you are both together, you are deacons, you are pastors, you are bishops, you all serve God, people know you, you are popular, and then you go into the same house, drive the same car, but emotionally you live in different apartments. You sleep in the same bed, but emotionally in 2 different worlds. It's called emotional divorce. And it's a sign of emotionally immature parenting. When your parents were not emotionally matured, it results in having children who are emotionally divorced in their relationships. Now, authoritarian family background, we talk about that, where your parents are high on rules and regulation, no relationship. Very tough family. Disciplinarians. Don't laugh with your kids, don't hug them. Very tough. The only way you show you are a father, you are a mother, is by being tough. You are being feared. So those kind of children grow up, unfortunately, they get to produce a dysfunctional family too. Number 3, multi-partner family background. Polyamorous family background, where your father was polygamous. He had several women. Your mother was polyandrous. She had several men. Children from such home always have problems in their marriages, except they do the 5 things that I talk about. Number 4 is abusive family background. Abusive family background. You grew up in a place where you were verbally abused constantly. physically abused constantly, emotionally, psychologically abused constantly, sexually abused by the people you trusted the most. Children from such families grow up to become dysfunctional adults. Except these 5 things happen. All right? And I'll talk about that very shortly. We say that kind of family is a toxic family. Toxic family. The indulgent family background. Indulgent. And some of you watching me right now, you are either indulgent parents or you were raised by indulgent parents. Who are indulgent parents? Indulgent parents are parents who are very high on relationship with their kids. They play with them. They love the kids. They go out together. They dinner together. They party together. They dance together. Wow, there's relationship with the kids. But the problem is that in that family, there are no rules and no regulations. So whatever the kids want, they get. However they want to go, they go. Wherever they want to sleep, they sleep. Whatever they want to eat, they eat. What they want to drink, they drink. It's just, we love. We just love you. There's kids, whatever they want. If the kids cry, the parents cry. Listen to me. Kids, you don't show toughness today. Tender love with toughness. They will in the future give you pain. Kids must have a balanced dose of no and yes. There are times to say yes, and there are moments to say no. It is critical in parenting that we do not tend towards indulgent parenting, where in the name of we don't want to hurt our kids, we let our kids grow up with relationship without rules. Let's move to number 6 kind of family background that has negative effect on marriage. It is called uninvolved family. Uninvolved. This is a kind of family where the parents are not involved in the developmental stages of the children. Your parents don't know anything about your growing up. They just know you go to school, what you went through in school. They don't know how you finish university. They don't know. You just go, you come back. They see you dressing, you're looking nice. None of them ask you where do you get the money from. They are not involved. Your parents are not involved in asking you a question about what's your dream, what do you want to study, how can we be a part of it, are you sure this is the right thing you want it to do. They are not involved. You grew up on your own. You became an instant adult at infancy. You took on adult responsibilities when you were very young. You became independent too early. When you were supposed to be dependent, you were already independent. And you became independent and have lived independent almost all through your life. So much so that now when you are married and you need to be interdependent, you don't know how to be interdependent because you've never been dependent. You've only been independent and you don't know what it means to be interdependent. If you get married to someone who likes to relate and the person is reaching out for information and you are constantly distancing yourself, please listen carefully. Many of us who grew up in uninvolved homes, you create pain for people who want to relate with you. Because the closer they come, the farther you go. You are constantly pushing into your own shell. Here's a problem with kids from uninvolved family backgrounds. When you become mature and you get married, in marriage, the most comfortable moment in your life is when you are by yourself. So you frustrate your partner. Somebody married you to relate with you. But in marriage, you find it more comfortable to be alone. Whereas marriage was designed to stop the problem of aloneness. You came into marriage with somebody and you create the problem of aloneness again. My question to you is, what is the value of marriage? If you're married to somebody and you create scarcity of relationship with the person, what is the value of your presence in somebody's life if you deny the person access to you? It is the utmost sign of wickedness. I'm going to be doing a teaching very shortly. I call it the 7 signs of a wicked man and the 7 signs of a wicked woman. There's a family background I want to introduce you to. It is one of the finest family backgrounds that guarantees healthy marriage and relationship. All of us should pursue having this kind of family background. It is called authoritative family background. Everybody should seek to have an authoritative family background. We should all seek to pursue that. It is one of the best form of raising kids who are going to be healthy in society. Okay. So when it comes to authoritative family background, we're talking about a background where the parents demonstrate rules, regulations, and relationship. Meaning, in your family, there's a healthy dose of rules, regulation, and relationship. God the Father, He is loving, and yet He said, this commandment have I given to you. The Jesus that you serve, Jesus our Lord and our Savior, He is love. The same person who is love said, this commandment I give to you. So it's critical for us to understand that if we're going to have healthy homes, there must be a balance of love. There must be a balance of rules, regulation. We must be healthy. There must be a balance between yes and no. Our kids must learn to hear yes, and there are moments they need to learn to hear no. And it doesn't kill them. Because the world that your kids are going out to, it's a world where nobody's going to be telling them yes all the time. When they get married, somebody's not going to be saying yes all the time. So this is how we raised my daughter. When we started with my daughter, we reversed the rule for my daughter. My son began with having yes and love. Later we reversed it. My daughter, we began by teaching her to learn to accept no without feeling bad. So today, if you meet my daughter and she said, can you please give me this? And you say no. She said, that's okay. She never takes no personally. My daughter does not take that as rejection. She walks away. So it doesn't affect her. Now she's getting older. She's beginning to hear a little bit of yes. It's intentional. Why did we start my son on love? Why did we start him on yes? Because he's going to get married to somebody, and we want him to learn to say yes to his wife. It's got to be intentional. I'm out of time, but I'm not out of words. Never forget this. Know your family background type, your own. Know first your family background. What kind of family did you come from? Know it. Number 2, identify the strength, the good part of your family, the values. What makes your family strong? Identify it. Number 3, identify the weaknesses that must be eliminated from your family, considering where you came from. Number 4, know your partner's family background with the strengths and the weaknesses of your family's background, your partner's family background. Here's something I want to say at this point. Knowing your partner's family background is not so that you can use it to insult your partner. Because, mind me, listen to me, no family is superior, no family background is superior to the other family. We are just different. So never use the knowledge of your partner's family background to insult the person. It is the height of wickedness to take somebody's information, such a private information, and use it against the person. It doesn't even show godliness at all. I wish you a healthy, happy and fulfilling marriage relationship. Whether you want to be single for the rest of your life, you want to be married, marry again, or you choose to remain divorced, whatever the state is, or whatever the state of being is in the future, remember that you can always have the best at every phase in every state of your life. I love you so very much. I'll see you bright and early, 5:50 a.m. West African time tomorrow. Until then, this Sam Oye saying keep on keeping on.